Chapter 1891. A Sudden Dinner Party. Zhang Yi had indeed considered the question King Arthur raised, but he was too busy to care about what happened in the Western Hemisphere. The world is in chaos, and there are always troubles everywhere,
said Zhang Yi.
King Arthur said, "You are right. Every country has its own secrets. Let alone Colombia." Let alone Colombia?
Yes.
If there is any country in this world that has had contact with underground civilizations in advance and used their power to develop its own technology and military strength, it must be Colombia. Zhang Yi lowered his head and fell into deep thought. In any case, you should think about it carefully. There is absolutely no harm in joining the Tong organization. We don't need you to do anything that goes against your principles. But when that day comes, we, as people who are unwilling to sacrifice, will stand on the same front. King Arthur smiled and patted Zhang Yi on the shoulder. I am very sure of this. I have always been very accurate in judging people. Zhang Yi smiled and nodded. I will definitely consider your suggestion carefully. King Arthur was very satisfied with Zhang Yi's reaction. He took the opportunity to make a request. By the way, regarding your armor technology, Zhang Yi said, as long as you can come up with something of sufficient value in exchange, I have no problem. Liu Qian's mechanical iteration speed is very fast, and basically an update is made every few months. If they really wanted to exchange, he would give the old armor to King Arthur. But the price he would offer for this thing would be unimaginably high. King Arthur held his chin with one hand, as if considering what to exchange. His expression was hesitant, because the things he could produce were not convenient for him to give to Zhang Yi. That is the secret of Atlantis, the source of the power of the Knights of the Round Table. Take your time to think about it. We'll think about it carefully when we get back. Let's keep in touch. Zhang Yi waved goodbye to King Arthur, opened the dimensional door, and used Space Shuttle to quickly return to the Gene Feng. At this time, everyone surrounded Fatty Su and praised him highly. What Fatty Su needs for his first battle in Ipsilon is confidence. Seeing Zhang Yi coming back, Uncle Yu hurriedly pushed Fatty Su to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi, Chunlei's performance this time was really good. Zhang Yi nodded. I always knew he was very good. This sentence is worth 1,000 words, because this means that Zhang Yi has always trusted Fatty Su's abilities. However, facing Fatty Su's expectant gaze, Zhang Yi had something in his heart that he didn't say out loud. There is no shortage of geniuses in this world. What there is lacking is geniuses with good luck. Although Fatty Su's talent is average, he is very lucky to have met Zhang Yi, a good boss who is very kind to him. When the time comes, heaven and earth are on your side. When fate is gone, even heroes cannot be free. Good luck is also a part of talent and strength. After he was trained in Ipsilon, he stayed with Zhang Yi for 3 years and was influenced by him. As long as he was not too stupid, he would not be weak. Perhaps if he let Fatty Su carry the nine-toothed rake and fight with others in close combat, it would be very difficult for him. But for an ice and snow-type alien, his ability to control the situation must be pretty good. Let's go home. Zhang Yi waved his hand, and the Gene Feng blew its whistle. Captain Lao Tian immediately ordered the sailors to set sail and turn around. The news of this battle soon spread throughout the world. The Knights of the Round Table acted uprightly, and King Arthur was a proud man who disdained to hide the results of his battles. Losing is losing, and losing to a strong opponent is also a kind of honor. So the whole world knows that from today on, the title of the world's #1 alien team has been replaced. As everyone knows, in Tianhai City, a city in Huashu country that does not belong to any regional organization and is independent of the secular world, there is a powerful alien named Chaos. The aliens under his command are all-powerful, with extraordinary abilities, and as strong as ghosts and gods. They even have a half-joking, half-respectful name for Tianhai City, this mysterious place where so many forces have failed. East China's Siwudi City. Northern Africa. This is the warmest region in the world, crossing the equator, and the climate is pleasant in the end times. This land has a very complex civilization. From ancient primitive tribes to modern countries, we can get a glimpse of the thousand-year history of human development on one continent. The most developed countries must be those located in northern Africa and close to the Eurasian continent. The Kingdom of Cage is the largest country in North Africa after the end of the world. With a population of 20 million, it is even comparable to some world powers. The last 3 years of the world were spent under the rule of Commander Kenshan, the supreme leader of the Cage Kingdom. This country is extremely mysterious because after Commander Shan's expedition to Rome failed, it directly closed its entire borders and refused to communicate with the outside world. However, we have to admit that in the several wars against the invasion of the northern countries, Commander Shan led the Cage National Army and fought very well. For a long time afterwards, the outside world had no way of obtaining any information about this land, let alone knowing how the people there lived. This place seems to have become an independent existence outside the world. But the people of Cage are very happy. They believe that only people living on the African continent are the chosen ones in the Ice Age. The people of Cage are the chosen ones among the chosen ones because they are fortunate to be led by a great man. 2 o'clock in the morning. The sky was dark, as if a huge black curtain covered the sky of Cage Kingdom. At this time, everything was quiet. In an apartment building in Prison City, the capital of Cage Country, the sound of a phone call was heard from a room. The capital of Cage State, Prison, has the best living environment in all of North Africa. Even in the coldest winter, the temperature can be maintained above -30 degrees Celsius. Even in summer, people only need to put on thick down jackets to go out and move freely. And the houses here are even more expensive. No, there is no demand for it. Money is no longer useful at this time. Only those who have made outstanding contributions to the country of Cage and their families can live here. And it is obvious that the people living in this apartment building are not ordinary. The phone call woke up the owner of the room, a man with long hair and an Asian face, who hurriedly got up from the bed and answered the phone. Because he was in such a hurry, he didn't even wear shoes and walked barefoot on the marble floor, which was very dangerous at this time because it would definitely make him sick. But he didn't care about that, because the telephone is also a very precious thing in this country. North Africa was already backward compared to other civilized countries, and after the end of the world, infrastructure construction almost came to a halt. That's why they used telephones from half a century ago as a means of transportation, and not everyone can install such equipment in their homes. This is not for ordinary people to use, and ordinary people don't use the phone to communicate. There are only 3 possibilities when receiving a call at this time. First, he was investigated by the Special Department of Cage Country and called in for interrogation by secret military police. This means that you may have made an intolerable mistake, and there is a high probability that something serious will happen. Second, he was summoned by the Supreme Commander of the Kingdom of Cage, Commander Shan. Third, a war broke out in the country of Cage. Everyone must mobilize, take up all the weapons they can, and fight the enemy. The man who answered the phone had a relaxed expression on his face. He was very sure that he received the call because of the second reason. Because some time ago, he had just entered the royal kitchen of Commander Shan and cooked a delicious Chinese fried rice for him, which was praised by Commander Shan. Commander Shan loves Chinese food, but there are not many authentic Chinese people in North Africa. The man who answered the phone happened to be Xian Haixio, who came to Cage Country with the company's engineering team 3 years ago and participated in an international cooperation project. As a chef, he possesses excellent skills. He himself didn't expect that the surprise would come so quickly. In the country of Cage, everyone knows that once you gain the appreciation of Commander Shan, you will surely rise to the top and become a superior person. A man's deep voice came from the other end of the phone. Xian Haixio, we will be downstairs of your house in 5 minutes. Commander Shan wants to summon you. Yes. Xian Haixio's body was shaking with excitement. He was grateful that the god of destiny had mercy on him. This gave him the opportunity to change his fate in this apocalyptic world where he thought he would die at any time. I'll be there right away. Xian Haixio turned on the light and hurriedly put on his clothes. In the room, his wife Li Qingmei, who was lying on the bed, was also awakened by his noise. She raised her upper body, rubbed her sleepy eyes, and asked, "What's wrong? Where are you going in the middle of the night?" While putting on his clothes, Xian Haixio excitedly said to his beautiful wife, "This is a secret. I can only tell you after I come back." His face was full of pride. This is the inner joy that a husband feels when he is about to become successful. Li Qingmei is very beautiful. She and Xian Haixio are boyfriend and girlfriend. However, at this time there is no need to get a marriage certificate. The two simply became husband and wife with the celebration of their friends. When Xian Haixio came to North Africa as a backbone of the company, she also came with him. "I didn't expect to stay here for 3 years. As a woman, she is full of the softness and gentleness of an Oriental woman, which is rare in North Africa." Li Qingmei was confused when she heard Xian Haixio's words. But Xian Haixio had already hurriedly put on his clothes, wrapped himself tightly, and went out. Coming downstairs, Xian Haixio paced back and forth in the cold wind of the night. After waiting for a while, 2 dazzling lights came out in the darkness. A military light armored vehicle drove up in front of him. The rear door opened, revealing a dark and serious face. The serious look made Xian Haixio swallow his saliva. "Xian Haixio, right?" the officer asked coldly. Xian Haixio nodded quickly, and the officer asked him to get in the car. Along the way, Xian Haixio didn't say anything because he was extremely excited at this moment. The fame and fortune that were about to come made him begin to have beautiful fantasies about the future. But when he thought that the next person he was going to meet was the supreme leader of the KG kingdom, he couldn't help but feel nervous. Although it was dark, the car was covered with curtains all around, and there was also a curtain between the front and back seats, so it was impossible to see where we were going. In this depressing atmosphere, Xian Haixio only felt that the car had been driving for a very long time, and he didn't dare to ask anything. Just when he was about to fall asleep, he suddenly felt the car shake violently, as if it had climbed a huge steep slope. But soon he knew where he was, because I could hear the sound of waves. There are 2 large rivers near Pilasang that connect to the sea in the north, so it is not frozen very badly now. He was sure that he was on a big river. Along the way, the black-faced officer sat next to him. His face seemed to be made of black iron, and there was no change in his expression. Xian Haixio didn't dare to ask more. About half an hour later, I suddenly heard the sound of a conversation. Boom! There was a noise not too loud or too soft, and the car body shook slightly.
Docked.
The officer asked Xian Haixio to get out of the car and open the door. The light outside was so bright and white that it was blinding. Xian Haixio finally adjusted himself to the light outside, and then he found himself on a small island beside a big river. It was a dark night, but the place was decorated with various colorful neon lights, making it as bright as day. For a moment, Xian Haixio was stunned. 3 years into the apocalypse, even though I lived in the capital, pre-sun, I had never seen such a scene. Electricity is extremely luxurious at this time, and the neon lights on the various buildings in front of me look like a miniature version of Tianhai City. There were other ships already docked at the pier where they were docked. People of all kinds walked down from above, some wearing military uniforms and some wearing clothes made of precious animal fur. But soon, Xian Haixio's attention was attracted by a clearly different ship in the distance. Because the people walking down from the boat were colorful and beautiful women with stunning looks. If you don't know, you might think it's the Olympics because there are people of all races. They were wrapped in thick coats, but their slender legs were still exposed underneath. In the temperature of dozens of degrees below zero, Xian Haixio admired their physical fitness. Just as Xian Haixio was in a daze, the officer next to him touched his arm. Xian Haixio came back to his senses and quickly lowered his head, looking flattering. The officer said, "You are very lucky to be able to attend Commander Shan's banquet. In order not to do anything disqualifying, you must stay by my side. I will tell you what to do." Xian Haixio thanked him repeatedly and took the opportunity to ask the officer's name. The other party was obviously an extraordinary person, as confirmed by the lieutenant colonel rank on his shoulder. The other party told him in a very cold tone that he was the captain of the Special Operations Team of Commander Shan's personal guard, and his name was Chui Zhe. Xian Haixio followed Lieutenant Colonel Chui Zhe closely because he was worried about making mistakes. Those people who came around were probably the guests of Commander Shan. Thinking of this, Xian Haixio became even more low-key, because he knew that he was specially invited to the dinner because of his good Chinese cooking. As for the others, they must be upper-class people with distinguished status in KG country. After walking along the magnificent road, they arrived at the luxurious villa where the commander lived. A huge European-style building, including a huge courtyard, is completely covered by glass partitions. It was as cold as winter outside, but once inside, it was as warm as early summer in May. Xian Haixio felt like his whole body was burning, but fortunately Chui Zhe had experience and took him to get checked first. He stripped himself naked in a room and then shamefully accepted a thorough inspection by the staff. After the examination, Xian Haixio took off most of his thick clothes. Fortunately, in order to keep warm, he also wore some decent clothes inside, so he did not look embarrassed. After passing this level, Chui Zhe told him that he could go to see Commander Shan. Xian Haixio was extremely excited. He took several deep breaths and knew that the time to change his destiny had come. Chui Zhe took him all the way to the main hall of the villa. As soon as the door opened, Xian Haixio seemed to have returned to the world before the end of the world and came to the most prosperous hotel in Tianhai City. The magnificent sight inside made Xian Haixio dazed for a while. There was dazzling golden light everywhere, and the white jade-like walls and pillars were decorated with various beautiful patterns in gold. In the center of the banquet, there were many exquisite foods and large quantities of various drinks. Commander Shan did not show up, and everyone else was waiting obediently for his arrival before they dared to start the banquet. Xian Haixio didn't have to wait too long. About 20 minutes later, the main door of the banquet hall opened. But the person who came in was not Commander Shan, but a white puppy. It walked into the banquet hall with small and light steps. Its fur was snow white without a trace of dust. Everyone quickly and respectfully avoided it for fear of a collision. Xian Haixio was still wondering why a dog would be so respectful. He soon had the answer. A tall and thin man with long hair walked into the banquet hall. He looks tall, but maybe that's because he is very thin. The long hair was parted in the middle and fell on both sides to the shoulders. There isn't much expression on his face. If anything, there's only one mode for everything. This person is the person who holds the highest power in the Kingdom of Cage, Commander Ken Shan. It was also the first time that Xian Haixio saw his true face. I originally thought he would be a middle-aged man with a big belly and short stature. But I didn't expect that he would be so energetic and even handsome. There were so many people in the banquet hall that they all tensed up the moment they saw him, but he acted as if no one saw him and hurried over after the Pomeranian. "Nami, my little baby. Don't run away. Come to your daddy's arms." Commander Shan ignored everyone, walked over and held the puppy in his arms. He looked at the Pomeranian with eyes full of doting and held it in his arms to comfort it. A waiter came over and handed him a glass of foreign wine on a golden tray. He took it and drank half the cup in one gulp. Xian Haixio felt that his drinking movements were a bit rude, not as elegant as he had imagined. Next, the cocktail party began. Commander Shan walked to the center of the banquet hall, where there was a long table. He sat down lazily at the front and raised his glass to everyone. At this time, a waiter came to each person, holding a golden plate with a glass of wine on it. There was also a cup in front of Xian Haixio, and he quickly took it with both hands. Commander Shan raised his glass and shouted, "You must have a great time here today. You are not allowed to leave unless you are drunk." Everyone hurriedly raised their glasses. "Yes, Commander." The banquet began. Xian Haixio took a sip. It was a foreign liquor, whose name he didn't know. It seemed very high-end, but the taste was strong and spicy, and it didn't seem like a particularly good drink. Chui Zhe said in his ear, "After you drink, you can take this wine glass back and worship it." Xian Haixio looked a little confused, but still nodded respectfully. Seeing that this was a rookie who came for the first time and didn't know anything, Chuize explained to him the rules of attending Commander Shan's banquet. Anyone who comes here can take away the wine glasses after drinking. Then at home, there will be a special cabinet to store it. Anyone who has a wine glass at home will be called a favored one, which means someone who has been favored by Commander Shan Long N. These people will be treated extremely highly in KG. The more such wine glasses you have at home, the more respected they are. Xian Haixio now also understood the value of this wine glass, so he was more careful when drinking. Commander Shan likes to drink very much, and his movements when drinking are heroic, just like gulping down water like a whale. And he seemed to have forgotten the young Chinese chef Xian Haixio, who was called over. After a long while, Chuize came over and said to him, "The commander-in-chief asks you to go over." Xian Haixio was extremely nervous, his palms were sweating, and he hurried forward. Commander Shan sat in a chair, looking up at him calmly. "Are you the chef who cooked Chinese food before?" Before Xian Haixio could open his mouth, Commander Shan's face suddenly changed, and he said coldly, "Are you a spy sent by other countries? If I find out that there is something wrong with you, I will execute you immediately." Xian Haixio was stunned on the spot, feeling cold all over and his brain dizzy. He was so frightened that he almost collapsed on the spot. Seeing his frightened look, Commander Shan suddenly burst into laughter, pointed at him and said, "You look so funny." Okay, I'm just teasing you." Xian Haixio's mind finally regained some clarity, and he smiled awkwardly. Later, Chuize told him that this was Commander Shan's black humor. He often likes to play tricks on people around him like this, and watch them make fools of themselves. However, if you perform better at this time, Commander Shan will look favorably upon you. Chuize said later, "If it were me, I would say that even if I die and become a ghost, I will continue to be loyal to you, Commander." Commander Shan did not embarrass Xian Haixio, but raised his glass to him and drank a glass of wine with him. "Your Chinese food is very good and suits my taste. Come to the official residence and cook for me in the future. You must drink happily today." He stood up, patted Xian Haixio's shoulder, and said. This action made Xian Haixio burst into tears on the spot, because such an honor was something he would remember for the rest of his life. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.